Hola, clase. Today, we're going to start learning how to use the subjunctive tense. You'll remember from our last video that we used the acronym WeirdoCat to help us remember all of the different uses of the subjunctive. In this lesson, we're going to talk about the I in WeirdoCat, which stands for impersonal expressions. Impersonal expressions are easy. Impersonal expressions are basically opinions. They are statements that people make to express how they feel about something. Here's some of the impersonal expressions from your vocabulary list. Let's go ahead and use them in sentences so that you can see how they work. Es mejor que means it's better that. We could say es mejor que ella estudie. It's better that she studies. Es bueno que means it's good that. Es bueno que tú comas fruta. It's good that you eat fruit. Es malo que means it's bad that. Es malo que yo tenga tarea. It's bad that I have homework. Es importante que means it's important that. Es importante que Sergio haga la tarea. It's important that Sergio does the homework. Es necesario que means it's necessary that. Es necesario que ellos hablen. It's necessary that they talk. Es una lástima que means it's a shame that. Es una lástima que tú no comas carne. It's a shame that you don't eat meat. And the last one, es triste que means it's sad that. Es triste que Wendy no tenga dinero. It's sad that Wendy doesn't have money. As you can see in these sentences, the focus is not on the statements, because at the end of the day, the statements might not be true and other people might not agree. These aren't facts, they're emotions, right? The focus is on the way these people feel, regardless of whether their opinions are substantiated. That's why we need to use the subjunctive tense for the second verb, because we're talking about the way people think that the world is, not necessarily how the world actually is in reality. I hope that you've noticed that it's really easy to make an impersonal expression. That's because impersonal expressions all follow a similar sentence structure. Really, you just have four parts to your sentence when you're making an impersonal expression. First, you start with an impersonal expression. So you can start with es importante, es bueno, es malo, whatever impersonal expression that you would like to use. And then you just add the connecting word que. You're going to see that the connecting word que, which usually gets translated as that, it gets used a lot with the subjunctive tense in Spanish. Your third part is your subject, so whoever the subject is of the statement that you're making, and then your verb in the subjunctive tense, right? You always have to have a subject and a verb in your sentence. So to do that, let's look at the example here. Es importante is the impersonal expression that we've picked for our sentence. We used the word que. We added our subject to. Then we conjugated the verb hablar in the subjunctive tense by going to the yo form of the present tense, dropping the o, and adding the opposite ending es to the end. And then we added some extra details here just to finish out our sentence, which we can do if we'd like. Es importante que tú hables con tu madre. It's important that you talk with your mother. And as you can see, we have four main parts here to our sentence. And then, of course, it's optional to add the extra details on the end if we would like. Now, here's the big question. Why did we choose to use the subjunctive for that second verb? Why did we say hables here? Why did we say it's important that you talk with your mother and use the verb hables in the subjunctive tense? Well, here's what the argument would be in Spanish. Are you actually talking to your mother right now? The answer to that question is no. So why would you use the present tense? It doesn't make sense to use the present tense. Are you going to talk to your mom? Well, maybe not. We don't know. That's in the future and it hasn't happened yet. So we can't use the future tense. Did you already talk to your mom? You haven't talked to your mom already, so we're not going to use the preterite tense or the imperfect tense, right? We're not going to use the past tense in Spanish. So what tense should we use? Well, we're going to use the subjunctive tense because we don't even know if you actually need to talk to your mom. It might not even be important for you to talk to your mom. Maybe this is just an idea that I came up with in my head that I think, oh, well, I think it's important that you talk to your mom, but maybe you don't think that, and maybe your mom doesn't think that. So hables, the verb hables here, it's really out there in limbo. It's not connected to any facts or any time. It's not connected to the past, the present, or the future. So it needs to be conjugated into the subjunctive tense, into a tense of uncertainty. Let's take a look at two more impersonal expressions so that you can see how they are formed. So the first one, es una lástima que ellos no coman comida saludable. So it's a shame that they don't eat healthy food. And you can see here that we've got our four parts. We have our impersonal expression, es una lástima. We have our connecting word que, our subject ellos, and then our verb in the subjunctive, coman. In the next example, es importante que ustedes estudien para el examen. So es importante is our impersonal expression. Que is our connecting word. Ustedes is our subject. And then estudien is our verb in the subjunctive. And then, of course, we've got some extra details here. And then, of course, up here, we had some extra details as well. So that second one gets translated as, it's important that you all study for the test. Another thing, if you look at both of these examples and what these statements are saying, keep in mind that these are just opinions, right? So one person thinks that it's a shame they don't eat healthy food, but the people eating the unhealthy food might actually be pretty happy about it. In the second sentence, one person thinks that it is important that everyone studies for the test. But maybe it's not actually in reality important that everyone studies for the test. Maybe some people paid attention really well in class and they know everything, or they already learned it. And so they're going to be just fine. So these are opinions. And that's why we use the subjunctive tense for both of those second verbs, coman and estudian. We use the subjunctive tense because we're uncertain about these statements as being really factual. We're just more focused on the fact that these sentences are opinions, they're feelings, they're the way that certain people feel about the world. All right, so let's practice conjugating some of our verbs in the subjunctive tense. Keep in mind here that whenever you see one of our impersonal expressions like es bueno que or es triste que, es malo que, those expressions will signal to you that you need to use the subjunctive tense for the verb that comes after them, all right? So in that first one, when you see es bueno que Eva hacer la comida, when you see es bueno que, you'll say, okay, wait, this is an opinion. This is just somebody expressing their feelings about what Eva does. And so we're going to conjugate the verb hacer in the subjunctive tense. Now remember, hacer is a go verb. So our first step is just going to the yo form of the present tense, which is hago. We drop the yo, and since our subject is Eva, so it's saying like she, it's just going to be haga. So es bueno que Eva haga la comida. It's good that Eva makes the food. Maybe Eva doesn't think that though, right? That's why this is just an opinion, someone's opinion. Number two, es triste que tú no caminar en el parque. We see that one of our impersonal expressions got used here, so we know that we need to conjugate caminar in the subjunctive tense, and our subject is tú. So all we have to do once we go to the yo form of the present tense and drop the yo, then we just add our opposite ending, so we're going to add an es. Es triste que tú no camines en el parque. It's sad that you don't walk at the park. Número tres, es malo que ellos blank refrescos. So we see an impersonal expression at the beginning, es malo que. So we're going to take our verb beber. We're going to take off the ending. We're going to take off that O after we go to the yo form of the present tense. And then we're going to add our opposite ending. Since our subject is ellos, we need to add an A in. So beban. Es malo que ellos beban refrescos. So it's bad that they drink soda. Number 4, es mejor que nosotros abrir la puerta. So it's better that we open the door. So in that blank, we're going to conjugate the verb abrir in the subjunctive tense. Abro, we drop the O, and then we add the opposite ending, which is amos, abramos. Es mejor que nosotros abramos la puerta. It's better that we open the door. Number 5, es necesario que usted hablar en español. So again, we see an impersonal expression here. So we're going to change hablar to the yo form of the present tense, which is hablo. We drop the O, and then our subject was usted, so L-A, usted. We're just going to add an E on the end. Es necesario que usted hable en español. It's necessary that you speak in Spanish. All right, so this is just an example of some of the problems that you'll have. Keep in mind that there will be other things that we'll be doing with these impersonal expressions. You might have to write some impersonal expressions on your own. You might have to put the different parts of a sentence in the right order, and just different things like that. So we'll continue to practice this in class. And so until then, adios, amigos.